1. Welcome home, Raiders. So, I leveled up my hunter to level 10. I got all the standard decks. I started buying all the decks I could with gold. And I think my favorite character is Rexar. Oh, wait. That's Hearthstone. Let's talk about some WoW. This is Convert to Raid number 108.
You're listening to Convert to Raid. The podcast for raiders in the world of Warcraft.
From the Convert to Raid Command Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, today is August, 18th? Wow, 2013, and it is now 11:08 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And thank you so much for joining us from around World of Warcraft land. And hello, my name is Pat Crane. I'm your host of the show. I'm also called Zhug around Airy Peak, U.S. And hopefully I'll be raiding back with the team tonight. I'm not sure exactly what's going to be going on, but we'll see. And the players are here. Actually, you know what? Both of these guys are going to be from the beautiful Beantown area of Boston, so I'll just leave it like that. But you know him from Convert to Raid 2 and all sorts of other places, maybe around the guild. I don't know. It's Dairies. Hello.
I'd like to take this time to officially announce my retirement from WoW, and I'm going to go pro in Hearthstone.
Yes, Hearthstone is very addictive. It is. And we'll get that out of the way here pretty soon. But first, we also have a special guest today from howtopriest.com, and he's in the guild Something Wicked on Whisperwind US. He's a theory crafter for all types of, clothy healers. He's a priest. It's Derevka. Hello, Derevka.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
How's everyone?
I'm doing
Good?
well. Hey, actually, you know what? I need to give you big applause first because crap, and then the music cut out. That's awesome. I love it when that happens. But thank you very much for coming on the show. It's great. I love how this is going to be really cool because I can't wait for you and Darius to butt heads about priests. So
it's good that I can look to my if I do this right, I can look to my right.
Yeah,
he is.
And there he is, and then you can just punch him right in the head.
It's like the Brady Bunch.
Right, exactly.
You put Jules in the middle, and she'd be like Alice, and just
Oh, how are you? Oh,
I'm doing good. I actually got a package yesterday.
Yeah?
That had an envelope in it.
Yeah.
Which had a letter.
Yeah.
That said, "Don't open until CTR."
Okay.
And there's a box. So now I want to open it.
Okay.
And apparently it says, "Use it well."
Oh, K. What is the K for?
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. It's a fortune cookie. Coltrane!
Apparently a fortune cookie.
Oh no.
Do I open it? Do I eat it?
Please don't.
It?
Just toss it behind you. He's opening it. Oh, crap.
And it's... So, fortune cookies say... Priest with many lamps can light well. Oh, that's kind of awful.
So it's not just his delivery then. These things are really that bad. Okay,
yeah,
great, perfect. Now I have something to compare it to. That's awesome. How does it?
The snack.
How does it taste?
It's like failure.
It's a mana biscuit, right?
Like disappointment.
Well, welcome, Derevka, to the show. Thank you very much for joining us. And we can't wait to kind of jump into this thing. Let's talk about
all 10 out of 10s for the record.
Derevka and Dairies.
10 out of 10 bongos.
Emperor.
Wow.
10 out of 10 bongos. All right. So now let's talk about what's been going on this week. And before we get into WoW too much, we got to talk about Hearthstone. It came out, the closed beta came out this week, and if you guys out there haven't signed up for it yet, please do. You can go sign up for the beta on your battle.net account, and you can try to get in that way. And hopefully, when they do an open beta, hopefully they get to that point where they do an open beta. That'd be really fun for a lot of people, I think. So Hearthstone, Derevka. How was
so much fun?
How's your experience been? It's fun.
I mean, I'm awful. Like, I'm horrible.
Right.
And I said this to you guys earlier, and I think a lot of it is because of the fact I haven't played a strategy card game since I was in high school, which was a long time ago. Considering I went to my 10-year college reunion 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Let's see. Let's do some math. 1940?
Right.
Wow.
That's phenomenal math. No wonder why you can't theory craft.
Oh. We're already getting the first shots across the bow right there. All right. So Darius, you actually play Magic, right?
Yes.
And so how does this compare to something like that?
It's good. I mean, they do a good job. Some things are different, some things are the same. But I really liked it. I mean, I had a lot of fun. As I was telling last night, because we were all streaming this. As I was saying, the whole point of a TCG of a game like this is to be the biggest jerk possible for the 30 minutes you're playing to the other person,
right?
Which can make it frustrating, but I think they've done a really good job making this a lot of fun.
Yeah, and your dog is freaking out in the background. If you're not joining us for the live stream, you should definitely check out the videos and stuff like that because they're hilarious to watch. Dairy's animals run around in the background.
My zoo.
That's right. Yeah, and I was horrible at it too, Derevka, by the way. The first I don't know, 10 actual play matches that I was up against other people instead of just the UI. I was losing so badly. I was tweeting about it. I was getting so frustrated, and then I'm like, oh, something switched in my head, and I was like, I get it now. Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda.
You're just trying to be as big of a jerk as possible.
I still get blown up from time to time, but it's a lot less. I don't know.
Yeah, my problem is I tend to focus on like, I really want to use this one card, and I'll put that card in my deck, and then don't build anything else off of it. And
or you put it out and they immediately counter it, or
use assassinate,
right? Or they bring out this card that destroys all of your minions in like one shot. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. What are you doing?
When things go bad, they go bad quickly.
Yeah.
One of the things I like is how they've I like it and don't like it is how they've controlled your ability to communicate with the other player. And then you only have 6 options, which are basically like, hello, oops, I'm sorry, nice move.
Yeah.
That's basically about it. Yep. Which is unfortunate because I randomly got paired up with somebody I knew just by happenstance.
Okay.
And I was like, I can't even talk to this person.
Right.
And I know that luckily I had him on Skype, so I could just send him a quick note and just, trash talk the whole time.
Right.
But it's rumored that they might actually add, if you're BattleNet friends already, that you'll have a more open dialogue without having to go into the BattleNet system.
That's cool.
Zhug and I played, and we were able to do that. We were able to communicate, and it pops up in a chat window and everything.
Yeah.
But I do like that random people can't just sit there and bash you. And
right.
But they do need to add a spam filter to the emotes they have, because you can't just sit there and click the same one over and over and over.
You can interrupt yourself and stuff like that. So you can just do like the first 3 words of whatever they're saying, and then hit it again, and then hit it again, and then hit it again. So it's it's kind of annoying that way. But yeah, it was really a lot of fun, and I plan on live streaming this more. I think both of you guys are going to be live streaming this stuff more as well. It's number 1, it's fun. Number 2, we're in the beta, so I feel like there's some sort of responsibility to get this out to people so that they can see it.
Totally.
If you want to watch me lose, just I'll be tweeting about that probably all week.
I think the part that I struggle with is how they're like, oh, Hearthstone is going to be that game that you're going to be able to log in for 10 minutes and then log out.
No, it's going to be an hour. It's going to be an hour. It's going to be 2 hours. It's going to be all night. But this is going to be awesome on the iPad. I cannot wait for this on the iPad.
Right. I can stay in bed in the morning and still play cuddle time and then.
Oh, God. When that does come out, I think I am going to have to quit.
I'm going to need a support group. Yeah, please. That'd be great. All right.
The last thing.
Yeah.
Per usual, I've already spent money in the.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You bought all these cards and you just slaughtered me. with those cards, and I'm like, you're not playing fair. I'm using the standard decks, and you're not.
Yeah, you can unlock all the cards if you want to just keep playing, but if you want to spend $20, you can have all the cards now.
Right. Just so some of the guys know, because I see it happening in chat. Here's the plan for Hearthstone as far as we know. Hearthstone is going to be released for PC, Mac, and iPad, not iPhone. And at present, they don't have any Android support. That's for sure. They want to have Android users be able to play this, but I don't know. And really, for iPhone, I think that would be too small. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I can't see that going to iPhone. It just doesn't make any sense for iPhone.
It'd be a miserable experience.
Yeah.
One thing I think you just need to be clear about the purchasing is you're not buying individual cards. You're buying packs, which can be completely random, just like you normally would buy a pack of cards at the store.
Right.
And you don't have to use real world currency to buy those packs. You can earn them using the in-game currency you earn by completing quests, or there is an arena section of the game where if you play arena matches, you basically get a key. Think of it like the troves on the island. You get the key, and then the better you do, the more you get. I actually got like 2 packs after winning 3 arena games in a row, so that was helpful.
Wow. See, now I've only won 1 arena game, and then I lost 3, so that I could use the key and get a pack of stuff. And I'm like, I felt so like let down. I've only won 1 arena match. It's just horrible. I don't know. All right, maybe we should move it along to talking about WoW. Let's talk about WoW now, and what we've been up to this week. Darius, let me start with you. What's been going on with you this week?
Wait, can we go back to talking about Hearthstone?
Is it because it's all been Hearthstone?
Yeah. No, well, I haven't been on in 2 weeks, so let's see.
The casuals are doing well, right?
Yeah, we got Heroic Twins, Heroic Tortos, Heroic Council.
Wow.
All down.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
So
what are you guys as far as heroics go right now?
7 or 8?
7 or 8?
I can't remember.
Out of 13?
Yes.
So we'll get to it. Do you think you're going to get to Raw Den before the patch drops?
Depends on when it releases.
Right. And we'll be talking about that.
I think we'll get Primordius tonight or tomorrow night. But
Primordius and normal is awesome.
Yeah. Very different in heroic.
Just stand there and hit him in the face.
Unfortunately, that doesn't work.
Right. Probably not.
Doing that, leveling my Paladin, got him to 89, almost to 90. I'm enjoying him quite a bit, especially tanking on him. Yeah.
Paladin tanks are amazing.
That's fun.
That's good.
And then, some Hearthstone. Lots of Hearthstone.
Lots and lots of Hearthstone. Derevka, how about you? What are you doing in WoW right now? Are you mainly on the PTR or what?
Yeah. I mean, we're spending a lot of time on the PTR. I was actually able to get into a lot of testing on Friday. I actually had a half-day Friday on work, so I was actually able to make all 4 of the 25-man sessions, which was a lot of fun.
Cool.
That's a lot. Was great. 4 on one day.
Well, it's just
kind of
pretty
that
quick. Yeah, I mean, you got to keep in mind they're not testing the fight mechanics on 25-man. Right. They're basically just getting a quick gauge: is this scaled and tuned appropriately? Because they've already gotten the mechanics tested on 10 and Flex.
Right.
So they're just trying to figure they only need kind of a quick touch. So it's a little bit easier. And then also why they've been focusing more on 10-man is that it's easier to field a 10-man group, particularly on PTR, given the fact that it's during the workday for the most part. A lot of folks don't have the flexibility to just, testing starts at 1:30 Eastern time.
Right.
I can't do that every day. So that's so long as they're able to get general testing in, for the most part, it's good.
And then
it's just live.
And then it's just fine-tuning numbers when you jump into 25, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty quick. I mean, some of them are a lot longer testing periods than others. But basically, we went in. We actually ended up. I actually ended up running 3 out of the 4 with the midwinter group, and a lot of those is just very kind of like quick touches. Do we understand the mechanic? Is this scaled about right? What is generally different between 10 and 25 from a geography standpoint?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the biggest thing that you need to kind of keep in mind. But
Right. So
then,
how are the fights for you as far as all the fights for Siege of Orgrimmar?
I like them. I think it's going to be a really interesting tier. The biggest thing for me that I've been paying attention to is trying to figure out which fights are going to favor Disc versus Holy. And I don't know if we want to get into that dialogue now, or we can put it off until later. It doesn't make a difference to me. But that's the biggest thing I've been focusing on, is seeing, okay, the mechanics of this fight, are they going to lend to absorbs? Is it going to lend to my ability to precast Spirit Shell? Where is that really going to lie in?
Sure.
That's kind of what I've been focusing on, is the math, not the math, but the timing of that. So.
Sure. Well, and maybe we should just get into that right now and talk about priests in the PTR. And I know that you do theory crafting for all 3 specs, right?
Not Shadow. So
okay. So
basically,
you play Shadow,
folks. I wouldn't say I play Shadow.
Well,
I have a Shadow. I have a Shadow. That's what I'll use when I'm grinding out my coins from my legendary.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm not going to try to run around the aisle and kill enough for 5,000 coins in Holy. That would be a nightmare.
Right. That makes sense. All right, so let's get into healing priests in 5.4, at least on the PTR right now. And I think before the show you said that they were pretty much done, right, with numbers?
It sounds like they're pretty much done. I mean, if you look at the last couple of PTR patches, there's very little true changes, and they're just the numbers passes.
Okay.
Whenever you see just numbers passes, that's pretty much the final go. I don't think you're going to see a lot of major changes from a numbers perspective. You might see a couple more. Like the last patch, I don't think even was the build was even pushed out yet. Like the data's there, but the build wasn't pushed live. At least it wasn't as of Friday.
Okay.
So you'll see some of that.
And they haven't even, the last couple builds haven't even touched priests. They haven't done much to them.
So,
got notable buffs, but
I guess the real question that I have for you is: did they nerf Disc Priests into the ground yet? Because I think all the other healers that are not paladins really want them to nerf Disc Priest into the ground, so that it absorbs. Screw it, they're no longer good.
No,
that'd be good.
Sorry,
that'd be good for me. I just leveled up my shaman. Come on.
No, shaman are looking
shaman and druid
amazing.
Yeah.
Shaman are looking absolutely amazing.
Right.
Next year for a number of different reasons, but they
and it's both elemental and resto are looking really great.
Well, elemental has always been kind of womp 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 womp. But resto has gotten a lot of changes. Obviously, you saw the changes within healing ray, and they kind of got bounced back and forth.
Yep.
Chain heal not having any diminish on the bounce. That's pretty substantial.
But it still won't do any good if nobody's taking damage. So those absorbs for Disc are really awesome.
Alone. I like my bubbles.
So how is Disc?
What they've done. They instead of nerfing Disc Priest in the ground, they've balanced out the other classes. I think in a good way.
Spirit Shell. They nerfed Spirit Shell's buff time by 30%. It was brought down from 15 to 10. Mathematically, what that ends up meaning is you, instead of getting 6 or 7 casts off during that 15-second window, at best, you're probably only going to get 5. But in reality, you're probably going to only be able to count on getting 4 casts off. I ended up doing a write-up over on the How to Priest forums about kind of the math and how to leverage your 4-piece a little bit. But the one takeaway from the change to Spirit Shell is Disc Priest should always enter Spirit Shell with Borrowed Time active. It's going to give you a little bit more of a buffer to get your 4 casts out. And then once you get your 4-piece, you'll have a little bit more flexibility on potentially getting that 5th cast out without having to stack a ton of haste, which you're not going to want to do.
Right. Well, and they changed the way that trinkets work too, so I'm guessing that stacking haste and stuff like that isn't any good anyway. Is it?
Well, none of the priest trinkets really worked off that trick.
Oh, okay.
That like DPS were using.
Okay.
Well, they changed RPPM as far as which way increase it, if it is just a general RPPM proc or if it's going to be one affected by haste.
Gotcha. But, so Disc is looking as far as like how it's changing from 5.3 to 5.4. What is your opinion overall on the changes that they've made?
you'll see some decreases. I think the biggest thing that's going to be most interesting is you're going to have more choices within your talent tiers, and that's the one I've
cool.
been. So, like, power infusion, you might not take that as a de facto. I've
Right.
actually been enjoying using divine insight, actually, which is the one that gives you a weakened soul free or ignoring weakened soul power word shield, which is going to be exceptionally helpful for me because our raid runs with 2 disc priests typically.
Mm-hmm.
So we oftentimes will be tripping over each other over weakened soul and fighting over, no, that's my tank. You can't power word shield. That's my tank.
Right. Right. And how is Holy looking?
Holy, I think, still has some shortcomings.
Okay.
I think it's great on a number of fights. There are clearly some fights, like a Mercius, for example, disc isn't really that good due to one of the fight mechanics requiring healing to happen, and it doesn't count any absorbs applied as healing for purposes of the mechanic.
Gotcha.
Basically, there's a bunch of ads that are friendly, and they beeline straight for the boss. If they reach the boss, it does damage. But if you heal them, they slow down. So disc by nature, if the disc crits on them, only the healing portion is going to count towards that
Gotcha.
snare, if you would. But there's going to be clearly fights that are very raw healing focused. The Shah fight, that one was very focused on pure Holy for me. A lot of it was more movement based. Holy's a little bit more movement friendly due to the fact that you have, Surge of Light as a proc that you can use. So I don't know. Holy has some problems. It's going to be very gear dependent. 2-piece is going to be a major priority for Holy for them to really have the throughput that's going to be required for them to compete.
Gotcha. So basically what you're saying is all those people that are going Holy, that want to be Holy priests are going to have a tough time just kind of overall. I mean, not necessarily a tough time, but they're going to have
Until
a
they
harder
get
time of it.
2-piece. Without 2-piece, Holy is going to fall short.
Gotcha.
You need that serendipity 2-piece bonus to really do it. Gear is also interesting, and this is something that Blizzard has done before. Every single tier piece is Spirit Mastery, which is a Holy Priest's dream. Holy Priests love Mastery. They love Echo of Light. That's kind of what you gear for.
Yep.
Disc, they'd rather have crit. There's not a lot of crit gear, so it's not something that Blizzard hasn't done before, where they've been like, okay, we're going to basically kind of pigeonhole you through gear to make you use Holy more often.
Right.
So
right.
you're going to probably have to respec and gem if you're going to be doing a lot of disc stuff. But
Gotcha. Now, Darius, have you done any stuff on the PTR as far as priestly stuff?
Yeah, I've been playing my priests.
And
I mean,
what do you think?
Derevka's, he's right on with a lot of the changes. There's the nerf to Spirit Shell hurts a little bit. It hurts more than in 25 man than it does in 10 man. It's not as bad in 10 man. The Rapture proc, I think, is a bigger nerf than it looks like for Discipline Priest. I mean, with the legendary gem, it's not a big deal, but that reduction in mana you get back kind of stinks, especially because it is affected by any modification to it. So if you can get it down to a 6 or 7k powered shield cost, you're only going to get 6 or 7k back.
what? I don't want to say you're wrong, but you're wrong.
And this is why we have you both on together. This is
With
it.
Rapture and Inner Will, you can get it down to about maybe 8k.
Okay, well, I guess the bigger question is, why on earth are you running Inner Will?
I'm just saying, if you are.
So if you cast Power Word Shield within a Rapture cooldown under the Metagem prac, that's a free restore. The only point in which it was a nerf was compared live 5.3 to 5.4 was if you had 9150 spirit or greater. At that point, it already was free due to the way Rapture works currently. Yeah. Most people are kind of, at least most discs are kind of at that 9 to 11k spirit if they have the metagem. That's the key piece, is if they have the metagem. And Blizzard kind of has to balance around the metagem because it's available to everybody. The People's Legendary.
People's Legendary. I'm glad that's getting around, by the way. I know I probably wasn't the first one to say it, but I have been trying to say it often. The People's Legendary. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just I don't think it's as big of a nerf as people like to think that it is. It's a nerf if you're running like 15k Spirit, by all means. But then I would argue that if you're running 15k Spirit, and you have the meta gem, you're probably doing it wrong. There's something that's disconnected there. And with gear being upgradable and tier 16 loot having more Spirit available on it as well. I mean, right now, our tier gear as tier 15, 2 pieces don't have Spirit on it, legs and chest. So you're going to tier 16, which all 5 have Spirit. So you're going to have innately more Spirit on gear. So it kind of balances out the nerf.
By the way,
it's a problem as people like to say it is. Not that I'm totally disagreeing with you, but
I mean it's a nerf in that you are getting less mana back. You're getting 10k instead of 15 or 20k back.
By the
nerf.
way, this was just handed me actually.
Uh-oh.
This little piece of paper, and it's from Coltrane, and he says, "It's too early in the show, and you've broken my brain as I watch on Twitch. That's amazing." So we broke Coltrane from afar. He's on vacation this weekend. So, but he's watching the show. I don't know why he's watching the show. I'd rather just be on vacation. but we broke his brain already. So
very fragile. Already.
Yeah, he's very fragile. His brain is.
Back to everything though. I think they've done a really good job though, giving priests the actual hard choice sometimes of do I want to play disc or do I want to play holy?
Agreed.
And there are a lot of times where they haven't done that, and one is always fallen by the wayside. And this is a good thing for priests.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to and have on PTR bounce between both specs, and I think that's going to be the challenge for everybody to individually determine which spec is going to work best for what fight.
Isn't that always the argument? Is like, okay, well, the decision is which of these healing specs is going to be the best healing spec? It's the only class that ever has to make that decision.
Well,
except
for a while
now
though,
you just say disc and you're usually right.
Yeah, disc was so strong. It was like, why would I ever play holy? I don't need to. But they're hard choices in Siege of Orgrimmar, and I think it's good. I think it's real good.
I agree.
So priests are sitting in a good place, and all of the rest of the healers in World of Warcraft just let out a collective sigh.
We were nerfed, and I think of all of them, Resto Shaman
and
probably brought up the most.
Probably, which is why I also brought up my Resto Chamois to level 90, so that I could gear him up, so that I could be like,
hey, we've always run with a druid.
Right.
Like, we've been doing 13 out of 13 typically
Trank is
in
nice.
1 or 2 nights, and we've been bringing our druid for every single one.
So you guys, you're in a 25, and you guys ranked really, really high. Like 50 or whatever in the U.S. Whatever you want to call it. So what kind of collection of healers do you guys normally run with?
Collection. Your
collection of healers. What do you have in your hand? I'm like Hearthstone. I'm Hearthstoning rating now. This is stupid.
I mean, we kind of we run a very lean roster. Almost everybody has between 90 to 100% attendance. And a lot of that is because we raid 3 nights a week, and it's very limited hours because we have most folks who work. I mean, we start at 9 p.m. Eastern, so that works out well for me. Even though I travel for a living, it's well after I'm done for the day, and I still can have time to raid even on work nights. But we typically run any combination of, we have two priests, both of whom are usually disc, 2 paladins, 1 shaman, and 1 druid.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
you got to spread the love a little bit.
Usually about 5 or 6, depending on the fight.
No Mistweavers?
5. We have not had a Mistweaver since normals. Who decided to leave and go to a 10-man with some folks he knew in real life.
Mistweavers in 10 was the only way that you could clear Horadin, by the way.
Just interrupt him. Stun him.
Yeah, if you interrupt him, that's fine. But if you don't, you're done. That thing will just last forever. All right, maybe we should go into get out of the priest talk, get out of all the PTR stuff, and let's go into the raid news. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Calling all raiders from around World of Warcraft land. This is Rating News.
All right, let's check out what's happening with rating news around World of Warcraft, and just a quick programming note for you guys so that you can be prepared for it. Dairies and I are going to be talking with lead encounter designer Ian Hazakostas on Thursday, just after, just in the afternoon for me, for Central, just after 1 Central. And I will be tweeting the deets both through the show and through my personal account as well before the stream. So if you guys want to join us, please do. It should be very interesting, as always, with Ian. He doesn't say much. I ask him a three-word question, and then he goes on for like a half hour, and then that's the show. Thank you very much. But if you miss it, we'll also have it up on converttoray.com. We'll have, full video and all that kind of stuff. So, and the audio will be on next week's show as well. So let's go. First up, patch 5.4 has unofficially been announced as launching on August 27th via this announcement. PvP season ending August 27th.
Dun, dun, dun.
Did you just flash a gang symbol, Derevka? Is that what
It was
I saw?
5-4.
It looked like a gang
5-4.
Yeah, that's my Boston gang symbol.
Right.
West Somerville. Because you know me, I'm clearly way thug.
Yeah. All right. So 5-4 is coming on the 27th. So they say, and even our PvP guy Brian Holinka, he kind of reinforced that, and he said, "Yeah, well, it's usually the patch comes out the same day as the season ends, right?" So, guys, do you think that this is actually going to happen? He actually backtracked a little bit too and said, "Well, that's assuming it comes out on the 27th because it's still not official, right?" So do you guys think that this is going to happen on the 27th as far as what's happening on the PTR, I guess? Darius, maybe? Darius, do you think?
I didn't think so, because when they announced this, they were still so far behind in boss testing as far as 25-mans and heroics and stuff.
Right.
But they threw a ton of bosses out the last 2 weeks.
Really?
And he just seems so unsure about it.
Who he?
At the
Holinka?
Yeah. Holinka
Yeah. Well, he was.
about it.
Well, I think he got into some trouble over that.
And then he tried to backtrack.
He tried to backtrack. He was backpedaling. He was like, "Oh yeah, sure, of course. The patch comes out when the season ends." Ooh, yeah. I probably shouldn't have tweeted that to my thousands of Twitter fans. My tweeple.
Before he had tweeted it too, they were still doing mechanic changes to classes.
Sure.
They hadn't done their balance patches or anything like that, and they're starting to do those now, so it's starting to look better.
Right. And Derevka, you say the same thing? It's looking good?
It seems likely. Look at what's kind of going on the PTR. They kind of historically, even look at what happened with beta when they did 25-man testing. They kind of crammed it all in real fast. They did the passes of balance, and then stuff rolled out for every single build has kind of been similar to that. Lining up with the PvP season has always been kind of what they've done. So that typically is normally an accurate kind of guesstimate. I'm planning to do that. To be quite honest with you, I'm planning on prepping to get my cloak that day.
So okay. So how do you think that? So you'll be prepping by trying to get all your cloak stuff organized, I guess. So when 5-4 hits, you can just get that right away, right?
Yeah. Well, they flat out said people can get it day one if you want to. I imagine that the servers are going to be, as stable as they always are on patch day.
Right.
World server is down, but particularly you're going to have literally your entire server that night on the Timeless Isle, which will be fun from that capacity.
Right.
Having everyone around, and even low pop servers will have people on there because of the merge, and it'll be a fun experience. Mm-hmm. The only thing I really hope they fix, and I don't know if this is intentional, is when you're doing your quest and you have to battle each of the 4 celestials. So let's say you're fighting, Chi-Ji, and you sometimes get randomly PvP flagged. even if you're on a PvE server. So then it just turns into this gank fest, and everyone's going to be scrambling to get it. You'll probably have servers that have high pop or a very interesting balance between Horde and Alliance.
Right. Like
'Cause you
Cho'Gall,
only
where
can
there's
engage-
3 Alliance on Cho'Gall.
Yeah, you only can engage one Celestial at a time.
Yeah.
And if the Horde is doing, Shwen, and you're waiting for that to go through, and you have to then wait for them to finish to do it, but then someone starts the next NPC, you have to wait, and that'll be tough. And they're tauntable cross-faction, so people are leashing them and resetting it. So
Right.
there's little thing, and people are glad that actually I said not Zwen, because it is Shwen.
Right.
With a schwa.
With a
Like
schwa.
an upside down E. a
That's
schwa.
right. It's a schwa.
I think on Airy Peak we're all said though, because I talked to the one Horde guy and he said he's not gonna try to do any of that.
He's not on that part of his.
Right.
Yeah,
There is
part of the
only
quest.
I think there is only one Horde guy over there
yeah.
now.
It's Olivia, right? So she clearly is not anywhere near
Right,
done to be
right.
able to.
It's
have to
Olivia.
fight them yet. Yeah.
It's Olivia Grace. She is playing the one Horde guy over there. It's amazing. So what do you think people should do to get ready for this patch? What kinds of things are we looking at? Because we're changing the Battlefield Barons is ending because we're moving on to the next chapter. So if you want to get that stuff done, if you want to do that weekly, go do it if you haven't done it yet, because that's going to be going away and it's going to be part of a feat of strength, right? Is there anything else that people should be doing to get ready for 5.4? And Derevka, maybe I'll throw it your way.
I mean, they're not resetting VP. That's something that they typically have done.
Right.
I would think, that being said, unless you're in full heroic, or Thunderforge heroic gear, or double upgraded already, you may not necessarily need to cap VP. But if you're not, or if you're in LFR gear and then you're going to go into Flex gear and get that instead, upgrading that may be much more beneficial to you. Now, if you're in a guild, so like myself, I'm only going to probably enter with maybe 2,000 VP because that's all I'm probably going to need. I'm not expecting to get more than maybe 2, 3 at absolute most in a given week. Because we have our own loot system. I'm not expecting to get 5 new pieces week 1, and then I need to have enough VP to upgrade all of them for that. So I think if you're looking to upgrade your gear, that's going to be a good opportunity. Getting your coins.
Yep.
If there's going to be a new coin, I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's not the Mogu one.
It's
something kind of military.
It's like a
Warforged seal.
Warforged.
Yes.
Yeah,
something
Warforged.
like that.
So just grab all the lesser coins that you can right now, right? Because there's going to be a new
but
coin.
You get a lot. You get a lot on the Isle, particularly if you're going to be out there farming your 5,000 timeless coins. A lot of those bosses will drop, 1 or 2 coins. So you don't need to be at 50 day 1. I mean, if you have 50, great. You don't have to worry
Unless,
about it.
of course, you're raiding that night, in which case you'll probably want them.
Right.
So, so there. But yeah, the Timeless Isle is actually really great for all your lessers, all your lesser coins. They've got lots of the new currency on each mob, I think, has those. So you won't have to worry about that too much. But Darius, do you have anything else that people should be getting ready for?
I mean, go and check out the patch notes before they hit. Read up on the changes of your class. See what's new. A lot of classes are getting new things, or things are going to work differently.
Yeah.
So read up on it so you're ready. Take a look at some of the Timeless Isle stuff and the quest stuff for the Legendary. Be prepared so you're not the last guy there and then you're reading about the quest and how to do it.
Sure.
Just be prepared for it. It's some good stuff coming too. So
Right.
read up.
And there, let's move it along, because we have so much to talk about, and I want to get to everything at least.
Are we going back to Hearthstone?
No.
Oh,
No.
Why
Well,
am I
maybe.
here?
Maybe. We'll find out here. So the next thing of this week, there was a lot of things that were kind of going on this week, and of course, patch 5.4 coming. We've got that, and then we've also got this thing where Blizzard trademarks the Dark Below.
Or did they?
Right, or did they? And Darius, what was going on with this?
So yeah, it showed up in a trademark registry, Dark Below. It said it was from Blizzard. It had a bunch of information.
And it said it was computer game software.
Yeah, but that was it. People thought maybe that was what the new expansion was going to be called for Diablo 3, maybe WoW, something like that, a new WoW expansion or whatever. And then a day or two later, somebody trademarked Corrigi's Unleashed under the Blizzard name as well.
Right.
And it turns out you can actually register anything you want without having to pay a fee or whatnot, and you can claim it under almost any name. So,
right. So now, what do you think about the Dark Below? Do you think that's real or do you think that's fake?
I think it's a cool name for fantasy something. I don't think it's Diablo. It doesn't sound very Diablo-ish. I mean, it's too literal for Diablo. But wow, maybe. I mean, they said there was going to be something. Well, I guess they don't really trademark patches, but they said there was going to be a content patch in between Siege of Orgrimmar and the next expansion. But I don't think it's going to be the next expansion. It sounds too.
As far as what I was reading, there was only one real link to the Dark Below ever. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember what it was now, and of course I didn't write it down because I'm
Ozomat?
Yeah, Ozomat. That was the one.
His title is whatever the Dark Below is underneath him, as if he had like a guild tag called the Dark Below.
Right. So, Derevka, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that this is what the next WoW expansion is?
It wouldn't surprise me, I guess, if that's what they're going to call it. I mean, you also got to keep in mind, they also originally Cataclysm was supposed to have that Vashir raid.
Oh, right.
They may be returning to that in some capacity, with the next expansion. Like they kind of have had that as a thing in their back pocket. They were really disappointed that they didn't launch it with Cataclysm.
Right.
They really wanted to do that. I hated the Vashir zone myself, but that's just me.
Right.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they send you back to the Abyssal Maw and have to do something with the Dark Below.
Sure.
I mean, it makes sense given some of the stuff they've kind of set up and have said that they've wanted to do.
Right, and one of the problems, though, is that you just really hated the zone. Darius, what did you think of...
Oh, everybody hated the zone. Nobody liked Vashir. Are you kidding me? I thought one of the interviews they talked about how they had wanted to do that, but based on the design of it and the feedback from Vashir, they weren't going to go back there.
Right.
It surprised me that Pat liked it.
I really enjoyed it.
You're a druid. You have orca form. Of course you liked it.
I could swim everywhere, and you have the fast swimming already from the buff that you get, and then you just transform into the orca, and you go really quick. That was the only thing that I liked about that zone. Everything else I hated about it.
Dark Below is just the subtitle for the dance studio. That's it.
Oh, that's it? Because
it's the name of the dance club.
Yeah.
Dark Below. Dark Below. It's like some sort of like nightclub in a basement.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Another thing. Oh boy. This is going to be weird. All right. So another thing that came out this week was the trailer for 5.4. And this was actually pretty awesome, right, guys? I mean, this was everything you ever wanted from a trailer ever. Isn't that right, Darius?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was awesome.
Just silence.
I don't know where. I don't know what you want me to say. I can't argue with that. It's a really good trailer. It was really good.
What did you like about it?
I mean, the story they're trying to tell, the way they make you hate Garrosh, the animation on it, just the epic feel of it is really good. I mean, there hasn't been an end character that I have wanted to just murder more than Garrosh right now.
Not even like the Lich King or anything?
No, I mean, he was messed up, but that was more his like hubris, and then he was taken over. Garrosh, I think, is there. He's just crazy and a jerk.
Yeah, well, he definitely proved that, right?
Yeah.
Derevka, go ahead.
The Lich King didn't go he took down Lordaeron and a few other places, but Garrosh is ruining Pandaria, and that's sad.
He really did trash a bunch of stuff in 5.4. Like the Golden Pagoda, gone. Just gone.
He's like an 18-year-old kid. His parents are gone for the weekend, and he's got the keys to the Porsche. And he's just wrecking things.
Wait, wasn't that a movie with Tom Cruise?
He's Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yes.
Or he's Tom Cruise from Risky Business. It's Risky Business. That's all it is. Ding, 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 and he goes sliding across the floor. Yeah, wearing socks only. Derevka, what did you think about this trailer? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What's going on?
I liked how clearly in the forefront all the Alliance characters were.
Yes. Yes. And by that, you mean there were none.
No. I mean, joking aside, I have to agree with Dairies. You really haven't hated a final boss more than Arthas in Wrath of the Lich King, and they fell short with Deathwing last expansion. Outside of him kind of flying around all the zones, and you got your feat of strength if he killed you. Okay,
right.
Outside of that, you didn't really care.
He was kind of a joke. He was kind of a joke, right? I mean, it was like you looked at him and you went, "All right, I'll kill him. Fine, whatever."
Yeah,
right. But now you're just like, here's this expletive that you can't even tolerate, and then he destroys it, and then Terran Zoo is clearly like very emotional and upset, and then thinks he's such the kick ass and he's gonna win, and then gets schooled, and the interaction throughout a lot of the dungeon. I don't want to ruin stuff from the PTR, but throughout the actual raid encounter where you see him and you're encountering him and he kind of like taunts you, and the shot of pride and the influence that he has over Garrosh, that capacity, it's just a real great kind of thing. And you're right, and Ray Romano 92, I didn't get it right away, in chat made a good point. My dad's better than yours. Like, he insults him and he kind of like really taunts him into the fight,
right,
and fires him up. Whereas Terran Zoo kind of has that whole like monk like inner peace thing going on,
right. Well, my favorite part of the trailer was when Terran Zoo gets knocked off the bridge, essentially, and he has the one claw of his toe hits the water, and then he goes shooting straight up and just uppercut. It was like Ken,
total Shuriken, yeah,
Shuriken. So yeah, exactly. It was very cool, very 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 awesome trailer. But yeah, I mean, one of the questions that I have for you guys is, I know that a lot of Alliance players are kind of upset about not feeling very included this expansion, really. Derevka, you've been playing Alliance a lot longer than we have. So what do you think about the Alliance side of this story, just in general?
Outside of the fact that we get to go into Orgrimmar and steal all their stuff,
right?
It's like, oh look, I got my own bounded account weapon. Yay, thanks a lot. And you kind of run back to Stormwind, which is still broken.
Yeah. Why
is Stormwind still broken? Like, Deathwing's marks are still there.
Right.
We're so poor that we can't even repair it. But
so you have some other issues, is what you're saying?
No, I think they've kind of openly admitted that this has been a very heavy, horde lore expansion given the last year and kind of what's gone on.
Right.
I don't think anyone's a big fan of a lot of the horde faction leaders. They tried to make Jaina the one that you really kind of fell in love with, and the whole like remember Theramore and that whole thing towards the end of Cataclysm and coming into this, but that really fell short. And there's no real kind of patriarchal leader that you can kind of rally behind. And I think there's going to be some interesting development maybe next expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly now that Anduin's kind of getting older, and I'm actually finding him a lot more of an engaging character than his father.
Right.
So I'm actually, I don't. There's a lot of stuff that's happening within the PTR if you've looked at any of the data mined audio. So I don't want to ruin anything, but I think we're going to probably see Anduin play a bigger role next expansion as he ages.
Well, he is the star of Hearthstone, so Of course,
He is.
Of course, you got that.
Full circle, and we're back.
And we're
To
back
play
at
the
Hearthstone.
devil's advocate on this, do you think Alliance players would have been angrier or just as angry if we had seen Anduin or Varian again go crazy and like become the protagonist or the antagonist for this expansion instead of Garrosh, who you already hate?
Right.
And Alliance players, do you think they would have been like, no, you hate Alliance, that's why you did this,
Well,
that's why you're destroying Stormwind?
I think what one of the problems is that, or one of the problems are that people have brought out is that we know a couple of things. Number one, we know that after we fight Garrosh, we're going to give Orgrimmar back. I mean, we have to. It's part of it's part of gameplay. Orgrimmar is a big capital city. We can't just storm in there and just take it. But at
Like
the same
Theramore?
time, right, exactly. But Theramore was never a huge capital city, So
Technically, is a city.
it's a city.
It's the Alliance capital of that entire continent.
Are they really giving Orgrimmar back? Or are they like, well, now we've destroyed this entire place?
Then that's part of it too, and I think that hopefully they build some story around that. But one of the major issues that people have is that Alliance don't seem like they're all that tough. This expansion, it seems like they're going, we'll just take it. We'll clean up your mess. That's fine. We'll just kind of clean up your mess and we'll take care of things, and that's because that's what we do, and that's it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Garrosh says right in the trailer that the trolls and the night elves and all those people, they're no longer part of his alliance or his horde.
Right.
So
Right.
what is Orgrimmar at this point other than just his stronghold? And
That's
to go
it.
in there, you're not giving it back to that horde. You're giving it back to the horde that helped you defeat Garrosh and helped you defeat Deathwing.
Then we should be able to team up with horde characters, trolls and Tauren, no orcs.
Agree.
In 5-4, and just have these supreme flex teams cross faction. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Anduin for war chief. That's what I say.
Yeah, I'd vote for him.
That'd be awesome. He'd be the most kind, caring war chief ever.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Gammon. Gammon's gonna
Mechatork for war chief. Yes. Give the horde the gnomes. Oh, sorry, gnomes for you.
Yeah.
like what are those tribbles?
Tribbles. Oh boy.
We
Did you
lose
guys? I think we lost him. We'll find out. Oh
it must
boy,
be that
Skype.
Boston internet.
Yeah, it's the Boston internet. That's exactly what it is. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, he'll come back. Hopefully he'll come back. So let's move it along because we need to. There have been lots of different things going on this week as far as like blue posts and tweets that we've seen, and one of the things that's kind of interesting for raiders out there is about flex rating versus LFR. And Derevka, I think it's just you now. I think it's
I'm
just
split down the middle.
You're split down the middle. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
There you go.
Don't worry
Stay
about
on
it.
one side.
We'll see if we can call him back here. There's Dairies. We'll add him to the
Pay no
call.
mind to people's names.
I know. It's weird. All right. So we may have to do an edit point here. Oh well. So anyway, maybe I should wait. Oh, there he is. Hi. Lovely Boston internet.
Dang, Boston internet.
It's an hour and a half every single time
Really?
Every packet.
on the dot. An hour and a half it crashes.
That's weird. All right. Well, let's pick it up with a new thing, with the blue tweets, with the blue posts and tweets of the week. One thing is about rating rollout as far as 5.4 goes. Of course, week 1 is normals. Week 2 is heroics. We all know that. But the interesting thing is with Flex and LFR. Greg Street, Ghost Crawler, he said Flex will be available week 1 with the first wing of Flex Raid. And then LFR, probably not until week 2 with heroic. So, with wing 1. So, what do you guys think about that? Does this feel right? Derevka, what do you think about LFR rolling out a little bit slower than Flex?
As I mentioned earlier, with the whole gear being really important, particularly 2-piece for Holy to maintain competitiveness, I think that's good because they're not going to have... They're trying to mitigate that whole upper percent feeling obligated to run. And it's not just that upper percent, but it's that upper kind of piece that people who want to do the min-maxy stuff. I mean, LFR gear is only 528, but saying only 528 is a little disingenuous, particularly given some of the trinkets and some of the 4-piece bonuses and 2-piece bonuses. I think that's going to be possibly something that certain classes will chase, particularly 2-piece for Holy, because the 4-piece for tier 15 is so poor.
Gotcha.
So I think you'll see a lot of that 2-piece going, just to get it a little bit more. I mean, some of them do sim out a little bit better, even using LFR and Flex gear as a technical downgrade. But if you upgrade Flex gear, it's one eye level short of upgrading a heroic piece.
Well, a Thunderforge piece.
A Thunderforge piece, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's. Do you think that people will be doing that? I mean, a lot, especially the first, few weeks of this patch.
I think some people will. I don't think it's going to be as you have to do this requirement thing. But I think particularly in a lot. I mean, like me, I still have a couple of normal pieces that I've not upgraded yet, or not even been able to upgrade. I mean, my ring is still normal. I just upgraded one of my trinkets from normal to a heroic piece. So, gear raining on you on 25 isn't necessarily as accurate as it seems. I mean, we've seen 3 Horden's Last Gasps the entire tier.
That trinket is so awesome.
It is amazing. I'm so glad I got mine a couple weeks ago on a coin.
Right, exactly. That's why they have those coins, man, because it never drops when you want it to.
Right.
Oh, man.
But I think it'll be helpful. I mean, we're using the PTR Flex, so you can run it all weekend, right? So we're running it tonight, not for the getting ahead. It's getting most of our raid more exposed to the mechanic.
Sure.
And I think Flex is great for what it is. Using it on the PTR, they've already pretty much said that the PTR version of Flex is tuned more difficultly than they're probably going to push it out live. So I think that'll be interesting to see. I really am curious to see truly how difficult it will be.
Sure. I just like the fact that it's going to have all the same mechanics as normal, and I think that that's a really one of the brilliant things about Flex Raid that they're going to be pushing out the same as normal as far as mechanics go, so you could practice and then
ignore them.
Yeah, you can't
it's
ignore
not
them.
LFR, and
Right.
I think people are gonna. I think it's gonna be an interesting wake up call for a lot of people who are just gonna go into Flex and expect the LFR face roll that they can do. And you have to keep in mind that what is Flex? Flex is supposed to be hitting the group of people who either can't put together a full 25 group or they want to raid cross realm with other folks. So you're assuming that you have some sort of existing relationship with these people so you can communicate in either mumble or vent or whatever you're going to be doing and really put the effort in. It's not meant to be raiding light. I think Flex is probably what they wanted LFR to truly be when it came out originally, but LFR has just become
It's
what
because
it is.
right, throwing up your hands in defeat of LFR, and I understand that sentiment. I also understand that people out there, a lot of our listeners, they say this is the only way that I can do it. This is the only way that I can raid. This is the only way that I have time enough to do it. And now you've done the Flex rating stuff. How would you say? I mean, other than the changes for communication, which is always nice. What do you? Looking at LFR, what you know about LFR now, and what you know about Flex rating for 5.4, let's compare those a little bit. And what are your thoughts on that comparison between those two? Do you think that people who don't have time now will be able to get into Flex rating?
Yeah, I think that's really kind of the goal. And the biggest piece is that Flex is dynamic. Unlike LFR, if you're running with an LFR group, let's say you're running with 10 people from your guild, and all 10 of you are gonna queue, and you'll pick up 15 pugs randomly through the LFR system. You're not raiding with strangers. You don't have to deal with that unknown quantity. But if you go in to Flex with, let's say, 13 people, and you're mid tier, like you're mid, one of the sections of the Flex raid. and 2 people log on and like, oh, I logged on late, I want to join you guys. They can join mid swing.
Right.
2 people log on and then someone's like, oh, I gotta go, my cat's on fire. They can drop out.
It happens. It
Wow.
happens.
And the raid scales, the raid difficulty scales. Like you'll see the difficulty and the health adjust with the number of people in the group. So you don't have to worry about that feeling like, oh, we queued without you, sorry, see it in 4 bosses that you have to do with LFR. I think that will be really helpful for folks so they don't feel like if I don't finish this wing or if I can't get in to do this now, where am I going to be?
Right. Yeah, it does definitely seem like a really good way, and not even as an alternative to LFR, but as like a preference. I mean, for me personally, it would definitely be preferential to be in a group where I can talk to people and be able to kind of do this flexible thing where you just go, oh, you know what, my wife really needs me. I've got like tons of wife aggro. All right, I'm out of here. I gotta go, and you won't feel bad about leaving necessarily, because I mean it's one of those things where you go, I just gotta go. Life, you know. And Dairies, do you have any thoughts on the gating of this content, or of Flex versus LFR, or I kind of know where you stand with
the tweet that Greg Street sent out? I'm pretty angry and upset about it, because what this means is that he's not listening to everything that I say. And Blizzard isn't just implementing what I say on the show. So
right.
I'm pretty. I think I'm gonna cancel my subscription.
He's very irate, people. Yeah. Can't you tell?
I'm going to Hearthstone.
Right.
I can't take this. Thank you, Ghost Crawler. You've ruined this game for me.
Oh man. Oh, they're also doing some more stuff to probably get people. Well, to kind of coax people into raiding in Flex and Normal and Heroic. We saw it last week when it was announced about those heirloom weapons that are going to be falling from Garrosh on Flex, Normal, and Heroic. And they've kind of done it again for Shaman out there. Not only have they buffed Restos, now they're going to give them some cosmetic gear.
Cosmic gear?
Cosmic gear. Yeah, cosmic gear. Cosmetic gear with the Dark Shaman stuff, transmog stuff. Derevka, do you think that this is an effective way to get people to get into what I'm going to call group raiding, this group content?
It's interesting because you always have this carrot and stick issue, right?
Right.
It's you don't want to penalize people for doing it one way, but you need to incentivize them for doing it the other. And you saw similar uprising with the weapons. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I actually disagree with Colt when his opinion last week was saying everything should be available on all 4 things because people don't necessarily have the time.
Did he really say that?
Yep. And that's the thing that's the thing that bothers me is, okay, you don't have the time. There's always an opportunity cost between what you can do and what you can't do. And under the same mentality, why shouldn't Heroic Thunderforge gear be available on LFR if that's the case? You need to create a line in the sand that exists,
right,
to really reward people for pushing. Like, the game wants you to push.
Sure.
They want you to do Flex. They want you to use Flex as a launching pad to maybe possibly go into Normal, and Normals as a launching pad to get into Heroic. And if there's nothing outside of just basic gear or maybe being a different color or whatever the case may be,
right,
they need to give you that carrot. And I think people are too busy looking at it as the stick for not doing it. You need to look at it as the incentive, not as the penalty.
Right. Right. Well, and it seems to me that, okay, so back in Wrath, the big draw to get into raiding was the gear, right? Because everybody wanted to look really cool and they wanted to, get all these cool procs and I mean, the power was definitely nice as well, especially when you get into the heroic gear on 25. That was pretty awesome. That was really great, and it looked really super cool. And then what they did was they did the gear normalization kind of thing, where they made 10s and 25s equal. And they also brought in transmog And so now they've taken away gear as like the big push because everybody's like, well, no, I just want my own gear. I'll just grab it from Molten Core by myself, and just make my character's gear look all cool, whatever. And so now they're coming back and they're saying, okay, well, maybe transmog gear will help, or these heirloom pieces, even though they don't do anything for your character right now, necessarily. They may be nice pieces. I don't know. But they're not really going to be doing anything, and they don't have any like XP gains for the heirloom weapons. That's not going to happen. They're just cool, right?
Flavor.
Yeah, it's flavor stuff. Although one of the things that was said that I was kind of like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. These heirloom pieces, these heirloom weapons that are going to be falling off of Garrosh are actually going to be really good for alts because it is account bound. You can throw it to one of your undergeared 90s and say, oh, you get to use this for LFR or Flex or whatever you want to for some other situation. So you can throw it to your alts, which I didn't think of before.
Well, the thing that you always
cool.
have to keep in mind, I don't know if you guys talked about it last week, is that those weapons you will only get, like the first weapon you get, if you happen to get one, it's a random chance, is going to be the one for your primary spec that you're on. So I would get probably a spirit weapon because I'm going to probably be killing Garrosh as a healer.
Sure.
And my next one might be the DPS version of it, which is kind of unfortunate because as a priest, who cares? They're kind of one and the same. And then maybe I'll get the strength axe, and then maybe I'll get the agility mace or whatever for my other characters. So it's kind of this grab bag of what you want. So you may not even get something that you can pass back.
Right.
And you're not even guaranteed to get it. I think you probably will after a certain point.
Sure. And the heirloom weapons, by the way, are going to be based off of the individual loot system like LFR. So and Flex. So it's going to be for you, whatever spec you have selected you want gear for, and that's what's going to drop for you. So that's kind of cool. I don't know. But there does seem to be kind of like and I've noticed it a lot lately on the forums. There's been like this entitlement thing. And Coltrane brings it up as well, fair loot
Just
for
now
all.
noticing it?
Well, no, I mean, I've been noticing it for a while, but I think I can bring it up fairly safely now. There's been this thing going on about, this entitlement for casual players. And I understand casual players, you guys are paying $15 a month. Absolutely. But there also is, and I think Derevka, you put it well by saying, there's also time commitment, there's skill commitment, there's all these other kinds of commitment that you can make to this game, and if you're not making them, should you be able to grab the same stuff as everybody else? Darius, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've made it pretty clear how I feel about that. It's the same analogy I said. I play soccer 3 nights a week. Why don't I have a World Cup trophy? That's it's the same thing. Like, I log into WoW 3 nights a week and I play for 4 hours. Why don't I have heroic Thunderforge gear?
Right. And it's a tough argument. I mean, how do you think that the devs should handle this stuff if there's rage on the forums from people that can't play? Darius?
That's a tough balance. You've got to look at what can you give players to incentivize them that's not gear. I think the cosmetic stuff is a good thing. What can make people keep wanting to progress. I thought the idea I had a couple weeks ago of something like a game-changing trinket or weapon or something like that should only be available in normals and heroics. Like I mentioned, the Rune of Reorganization.
You want to start that over again?
The Windwalker trinket from Lei Shen. Something like that completely changes how Windwalkers play.
Right.
Leave that to normals and heroics. Make people want to do them other than just, here's your Thunderforge piece. I don't know. Just something to get people to want to feel more epic, to want to progress. And to deal with the anger, I mean, there's always going to be angry people. If you go one way or the other, you're going to have angry people, and you've got to learn to tune them out a bit, and to figure out what is the vocal minority here.
Yeah.
Are the so
well, I know that and speaking of angry people on the forums, I want to bring this up real quick, and then I don't want to tackle this on this show. I don't think that this is necessarily not quite yet the appropriate time. But there were some articles this week about rage on the forums for pretty much every game developer out there, and kind of what that meant. There was a Polygon. It was on Polygon.com. And I know that Torn Think Tank actually just talked about that last night. So that's going to be coming out this week on Torn Think Tank. I would recommend that you guys listen to this. But it's the rage is getting a little out of hand, guys. And it's making developers quit.
It's wrong. It's
not good.
It's disgusting, actually.
Yeah.
People need to chill out.
You're right. It's still a game.
Yeah.
But like people were like threatening family members and stuff, and they're like, you know what? I can't do this.
Disgusting.
Anymore. I know.
I really agree. You should listen to the episode of Torn Think Tank and read the articles because they are really good. And this needs to be brought to light because it is wrong.
Yeah. I just tone it down, guys. You know, last week we had the PSA about just calm the F down. I think that should
Keep
remain
calm
true.
and keep playing.
That's right. It'll all be fine, especially about the PTR, man.
That's the thing that's really unfortunate. This is possibly one of the most engaged times that we've seen Blizzard with the community through Twitter, through fan sites, through the water coolers, and the response that they've gotten in reaction to that. You're seeing almost every dev on a Twitter account. You're seeing them not just posting on there, but actually interacting with players, and people just treating it as if it's like because you're blue, I now am going to throw this at you nonstop. It's going to make them retreat, and we're not going to have this type of interaction that we have today.
Yep. Always be constructive, and I think that's one of the things, especially when you're going through PTR or when you're talking about changes to your class. Always try to make it constructive. Don't just say, you nerfed me, I hate you, or anything like that. I mean, there's too much garbage that the community managers need to decipher if everybody just throws up garbage all the time on the forums.
Just take a look at everything mages have ever done to patch notes and do the opposite.
and paladins and warlocks.
And warlocks, yeah.
Shadow Priest this tier.
And Shadow Priests.
That's one thing because I actually can do this, and now I have a little bit of a grandstanding, I guess. There was a lot of the Shadow Priest community that really responded poorly to how Shadow was doing, and it was the method that they won in this last build that was really disappointing. You saw a lot of them putting up posts on the official forums, talking about how we took down the devs. They finally gave us the buffs we needed. And they were reacting as if they overthrew the Confederacy. And that's the thing that really was unfortunate. It's they buffed you because you came below the benchmarks that they expected you to be in for 5.4. Not because get ready to have to edit this, but the cryassery that so much of the community did. It really just was unfortunate.
And I think even Ghostcrawler was talking about how, just because you're the loudest voice does not mean that we're going to listen to you. We're going to listen.
Sometimes you're right. Sometimes you're right.
Right. And yes, if you're right, that's awesome. But being loud and right is not necessarily the way to do it. Being right and measured in your approach might be the better way to do it. You remember catch more flies with honey, right?
Right. I mean, Shadow was right this go. They were right. Waving the Shadow banner afterwards, like they were in like Les Mis at the barricade, like they just won. Guess what? Half y'all got shot. Do you hear the bloody people saying, come on, this is ridiculous.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
You don't know how that ended because you left.
Right. I did.
What?
The sound was horrible. It was opening night in town. So just to give you a little bit,
we're gonna go into this.
Just to give you so I went to Les Mis. It was opening night in town, and what ended up happening was that my wife, who has a little bit of a hearing issue, not really problem, but issue. If it gets too muddy for her, it's not enjoyable. So we left. We left opening night Les Mis. Ah, I was okay, but she was not. I got to do what the wife does, you know. Got to support her at all times. Anyway, maybe with that, maybe we should just move on to Connected Realms real quick, and then we're gonna do some questions and get out of here. But Connected Realms are there. These are going to be rolling out throughout 5.4. We found out this week, and the basic plan is that they're going to target realms that need more players, not necessarily for player balance, but they will take that into account. And so I don't know exactly. We don't know numbers at all as far as, you know, what will make a full realm. And guys, how do you hope that they throw this out? Derevka, maybe you can weigh in on this first.
I hit mute. Sorry. There we go. I think that's the thing that's really interesting. You have a lot. On one hand, it's like, why not just merge them and call it a new realm and call it a day?
Sure.
I think that's going to be difficult. It's going to be a hard sell to whatever the losing realm is.
Right.
So let's say someone someone in chat used Lane and Garona. I actually was on Garona for a long period of time. And unfortunately, a lot of folks have left Garona because the largest raiding guild on Garona, which was the one that I was in, has now since died. So those people have kind of got scattered to the wind and have gone to other competitive guilds on other servers. But the problem is that people kind of have this allegiance to the server that they've either started on or they exist on already. And whichever one loses is going to feel that like they lost.
Right.
Like part of their identity is no longer the case. I'm no longer Derevka of Garona. I'm now Derevka of Whisperwind, which can kind of hurt, particularly if you've been playing since vanilla on the same server. Mm-hmm. Guilds, as dumb as it sounds, our guild logo, which I flashed earlier, which you can kind of
along with
see,
your gang signs,
has Whisperwind built into it, and it's hard to. Now we have to redo all the stuff we've done, and some guilds have the URL. It has part of their realm on it. I think it may not be a major part of the consideration that Blizzard is doing. But if it's really not that much of an additional expense, or if any, and I can't imagine it's very much, if anything, to have those still be fragmented.
Mm-hmm. Might as well. I mean, otherwise you're going to just have people that have to change names, and you're going to have all these people that are very upset. It's not worth it.
It's their part of their identity. I mean, there's a number of people on, and I can think of 3 quickly offhand that I know. So much of what they do in the social media aspect on Twitter is trying to get people onto their realm, and they do it. There's, you have like Low Pop Wow, which is its own kind of identity on Twitter and their website, which tries to kind of get the communities that live in that smaller.
It's a great show, and by the way, and I know that they're kind of freaking out over on Low Pop Wow because they're like, okay, with these connected realms, are we going to even have a show anymore? Because we're all about low pop now. Now we might not be low pop anymore. So yeah, it's going to be kind of tough for a show like that. But they've been good about trying to recruit people onto low pop servers just in general and how to work that. So Darius, what do you think people can expect once these connected realms start rolling out? If you're on a low pop realm, what can you expect to change? What's probably going to be staying the same? What do you think some of those changes will be?
You're going to see more players. You're going to see a slight loss of identity. If you're on a low pop server and everyone that's there, you're going to see all these new people who have this, the similar kind of trade chat trolls that you had, but now they're different ones and new ones. So you lose a little bit of that, but it allows you to meet new people. It allows you to play with new people, and it's an MMO.
Yep.
You're supposed to be playing with other people. When it comes to things like Flex Raid and whatnot, you're going to want to meet new people. And especially if you're one of the people that's maybe on one of these low pop realms because that's what you accidentally picked or unknowingly picked when you started your first character.
Yep.
And you don't want to transfer. Now you have more things to pick from, more raid teams, more arena teams. There's guilds, more
selection, but also more competition too. I mean, don't forget about auction houses and even raid teams. If you have a pretty good raid team, there's going to be more competition for spots as well.
Competition's a good thing, though. It's going to breed better players.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's good.
All right. Awesome. Well, let's get into the Q&A, and so I'll just hit this right here.
We've got mail.
We do, and if you have a question about anything for us, about rating or anything else, just let us know. We'll try to answer it on the show. You can always email us at converttораid@gmail.com, or you can call our raid line, 612-787-RAID. That's 612-787-7243. Or you can join us during one of our live shows, PM One of the Guys. We'll see if we can get to it. Now, Dairies, can you help us out with this first email, please?
It's from Pluto4 at Shadow Song. He's a discipline priest. Says, hey guys, since I got my account back in Wrath, I've been raiding with the same group of guys through ICC, all of Kata, the beginning of Mop and Mogoshan. After we lost a lot of players in between Kata and Mop, we tried with new people, but it just tore myself and the other officers apart from the guild. Now that I have a priest, pally, DK, rogue, lock, hunter, and druid, I think that's everything.
That's most everything, yes. It's more than half.
Level 90 and 2 tunes above 500 eye level. I don't know how to make myself seem like a valuable asset to guilds in my realm so that I can get a spot. Any tips for marketing myself as a good raider? I've thought of showing achievements or past pictures for defeating bosses. So if you guys know of any way to help me market myself, I'd appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Love the show and keep on raiding.
All right. Well, the first thing is with the priest panel, you put priest first, which is always good. That's not a bad thing as far as his 90s.
Catering to your audience.
That's right. Derevka, do you have any tips for this guy?
Well, I think it really depends on kind of what spectrum of a guild that it sounds like you're trying to apply to a guild.
So it sounds like it'll be at least semi-competitive, right?
Right. I mean, obviously, pick whichever class that you think you're the best at and enjoy the most, whatever biggest crossover exists. Obviously, if you're the best at your hunter, but you absolutely hate it, who cares? Don't play it.
Right.
Pick which one you enjoy the most and that you're skilled enough at. I know I personally don't like seeing, oh, look at how great I was. Mm-hmm. I can look at an armory on an application to see their feats of strength and kind of see their rating history. It's actually very easy to do that now because they have all of it across the bottom.
Sure.
You can quickly kind of scan, okay, they've killed these bosses, and if I really want to know what date it was, I can look into their feat of strength if I want to go that deep. Outside of that, it looks like you're trying to make up for shortfalls for whatever the case may be. I think come 5.4, which is probably your best bet, is that it's going to be a little bit easier to get into a different guild or different raid because of how Flex works. I think you'll see people running Flex, maybe using Flex to try out applicants before they come on board, because you can run it with 12 people and bring on 2 apps. The difficulty will scale up, but it's not going to affect your individual lockout. So if I'm a 25-man heroic raid, and maybe we're taking a chance on somebody, I don't want to necessarily waste our raid's time and lockout period. I can just do it on Flex to them, kind of get, sample the wares, if you would, like you're at, Costco and have that one piece of General Gao's chicken and, okay, this guy's not bad, let's buy the whole thing, bring them on board. And you're saving everyone money too, because transferring for an applicant costs them money. Right. So that's just another big benefit of Flex. You can do that just through Real ID. You don't even need to give your real name. You can just use your battle tag, try them out on Flex, and then bring them in. I think that is going to be your way in for this. You're over 500, so you're going to be likely geared enough to do Flex with them.
Right.
So approach a guild on your server. Approach a guild that you're considering applying to. Hey, can I run a couple wings on Flex with you to show you that I know what I'm doing? And then maybe you can bring in
and to show that you're a good guy. I mean, right. It's so funny because a lot of people are like, well, how do you show how awesome you are? Well, the way that you show how awesome you are is through your personality, not necessarily always through how much deeps you can put out. I mean, that's nice. Don't get me wrong. That's always going to be a major factor of what's your throughput. As far as how can you help this team, but if you're a jerk about it, nobody's really going to care anyway. They're going to go, well, you're okay as a player, but as a person, maybe you need a little work. You're done. Right. Dairies, what kind of advice do you have
So a couple things. I'd say first, pick what you want to what you want to play. Like Derevka said, if your priest is your favorite and you're really good at that, play that. But when you apply, present yourself as a healer, not just a priest. If you play your priest and pally and druid really well, present yourself as those three, because having two raid ready, viable, competent alts is better than someone that has one tune and can only play one thing.
Right.
That's a good thing. I'd also get the legendaries, get into those. Come 5-4, if you haven't even started, you're so far behind. And those cloaks are so good. The meta gem is so good. You really got to have those. Those are going to make you look really good if you've got one or two alts with those things on them. But I'd say the biggest thing is just present yourself as a healer or a DPS or a tank and DPS, something like that. Be versatile. Give them options that you enjoy playing. Though.
But don't give them so many. I mean, because he's got like every character here, and it's like, well, if you list out, 7 different classes that you play, well, which ones do you play well?
Pick 2 or 3 that you want to play and present those. Make yourself
and say, I'm really good as. I mean, he identified himself as a disc priest up top, so I'm guessing. Right. Disc priest or priest just in general, make sure to put that in there and then put in something else. But I also have a blah that I play really well and can help out, any team that needs help.
Can I offer a counter?
Yeah.
To that the thing I tend to get a little bit concerned about when I see an applicant come in and they list multiple characters. Let's say they're listing their disc priest, their pally, and their shaman. Well, shaman. What the heck am I? I'm channeling Olivia.
Channeling Olivia Grace.
Olivia Grace. And
the proper term is shaman. There we go. Thank you.
And their shaman. The first thing I'm going to think is, okay, well, which one do they really prefer to play? Because let's say we take them on their priest, but they really love their pally, and then an opportunity elsewhere comes up that a guild needs a pally. Is that person now going to immediately jump ship?
Sure.
That's because particularly in a heroic raiding environment, and maybe you're taking a chance on someone, you're going to be throwing gear at them. I don't want to necessarily lose that time investment by having them jump ship to play the class they'd rather. I would much rather have a player play the class that they enjoy and try to find a way to make it work versus force them to play a class that they hate just because they can.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to everything. Ultimately, this is your $15. Play the class you want to play.
Right. Right.
If you're applying to a guild and they don't want your priest and it's your favorite, find a different guild.
Or if you have, a couple favorites, or you want to list a couple, maybe you put preferred, just on one of the tunes, whatever it is. Preferred. I prefer to be a priest, but if I can't play priest, I do have a shaman that I'm pretty good at and I like.
Right.
So something like that might be good.
Just don't seem wishy-washy, I guess, as well.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Definitely not.
And Derevka, we've got one more that will hit for today's show. Can you grab this one, please, from Udoomer?
Okay, so Udoomer writes from AIE on Earth and Ring. I've just gotten my alt priest to 90, and I'm wondering if Shadow is a viable DPS spec for raiding, or should I just switch to heals? I have DPS experience as my main as a Frost Mage. High five, Colt. I appreciate the show. Keep up the good work. And P.S. My favorite raid boss is Fang.
I have to play it. There we go. All right. So now, Derevka, maybe you should just answer this as well. For 5.4 Shadow Priest, good or awesome for 5.4?
They are simming to be quite well post the buffs that were published earlier last week on a lot of the Simcraft stuff. Twin Top and Dry, who do a lot of our calcs on the How to Priest forums, have done a lot of the sim work with the changes. And things are looking quite good. I think it's going to be an interesting tier after Shadow's getting buffed. The numbers are looking good. Shadow was obviously falling behind a bit, but I think this is going to be an interesting tier for Shadow. Yeah, so if you really would rather DPS, do it. Again, this falls into play what you like.
Right.
I think everybody would much rather have someone playing a class that they're enjoying versus, oh, well, I guess I should go disc. Because then No one wants you to
Right.
burn out. No one wants you to leave the group that you've developed a relationship with just because you feel forced to do something that you don't enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
Any? Go ahead.
If you're playing a Shadow Priest, and even if Shadow Priests are, say they're 10% less effective, they do across the board 10% less DPS than a mage or something like. Or probably not a mage. Probably wouldn't be probably hunters. No, probably not hunters.
Oh, maybe hunters.
Say rogues.
Okay.
I haven't hated on rogues.
I haven't done that yet.
Say they're doing
Stabby?
10% less than stabbies.
Right.
But you're enjoying it and you're paying attention more and you're standing in less crap. That means more than that 10%. Don't worry about it. Shadow Priests are going to be fine. All of them are fine. Unless you're playing, a prop pally and you're trying to DPS while not tanking. You're not going to do good numbers there. But all the DPS specs are going to be fine. It's what you want to play.
Cool. All right, well, let's get out of here. But before we do, we need to give a shout out. And by the way, this is Derry's favorite music. Where's the dancing? Let's go. All right, before we get out of here, we need to do some 5-star reviews. And of course, we didn't write them down before the show actually took off. But I do have it up. Darius, do you have it up as well? Okay. So we've got to give 5-star reviews to J. Justin. 7-layer dip, Lair dip. I thought that was funny. 7-layer dip.
I see what you did there.
RKT Sci. So I'm guessing it's rocket science. Noah Smethwick and YOLO Vision. YOLO. By the way, it's in MMO games. It's not YOLO. It's Yori. You only respawn indefinitely. So. It's not YOLO. It's Yori.
Is that a thing, or did you just make it up?
Well, somebody said that while I was playing PlanetSide 2, and I thought that was really funny. So I've adopted it now. We cannot do this without you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to rate us on iTunes. Oh yeah, shout outs. You got a shout out?
Yeah, I got one. It's to an ex-hunter from my raid group, Primoc. She left us this week for a new baby raid team, and I want to wish her all the best on that new raid team. So good luck, Primoc.
And she is awesome, by the way.
Yes, she's great. She's a great hunter and great person.
She's amazing. You have any shout outs, Derevka?
I guess I'm gonna have to give a shout out to the dev team to reaching out to the fan sites and getting that shiny Hearthstone beta keys. So
yes,
thank you to Zarum and all those folks who work with the fan sites and getting those out to a lot of folks. I think a lot of people are out there really excited to play it.
And if you guys haven't seen the live streams for Hearthstone at all, please go out and check it out. I encourage all of you to go out and check it out. And I'll be live streaming. Derevka, you'll be live streaming. Darius, you'll be live streaming, probably, because that's all you play now.
Yeah, that's it.
You're done. So that's so we'll continue doing that as much as we can, as well as doing all of our WoW action. So look out for it. And I would like to also thank you, Derevka, for joining us.
Thank you, Zhug.
Oh boy. All right, I'm gonna bail on this music and get out of here.
Oh.
All right. So. There we go. I'm going to play that stuff. Thank you, guys, for taking the time to rate us on iTunes. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for the questions. Feel free to join in on all the conversations we're having at any time. You can always email us at converttoraid@gmail.com. You can call us and leave comments and questions on our raid line, 612-787-RAID, as I said before. You can follow us on Twitter at converttoraid or individually, isn't that right, Dairies?
Yeah, it's individually. Pat Crane is at Pat Crane with a K. Coltrane, who's not here, is Coltrane. He is the _Coltrane with a K. I am Darius, so I am at Boardmine with no K. And then there's Derevka,
which is at Derevka.
At Derevka with a K.
With a K.
With a K. You're the only one without a K. Maybe you should buy one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Boardmine K.
Derevka, where else can people find you, Derevka?
I am an administrator over at howtopriest.com, and that's basically where I've moved all of my blogging effort. So Tales of a Priest is going to continue, but all the blog stuff is going to be over at How to Priest. So that's kind of where I'm spending a lot of time. My week and next weekend is going to be doing a daunting amount of 5.4 Holy and Discipline Guide updating. I need to spend some time. I was sick the past couple of days.
You were, and
able to really sit in front of the computer for all that long.
And
getting...
I'm so glad that you could join us here today because it's been a struggle for you.
I have kept food down. This is a good day.
Hey, let's do big applause for that. Sure, why not? Why not?
Yay for digesting food.
That's right. But thank you so much for joining us again. It was awesome to have you on and to talk a little bit about priests. I know that some of the priests out there were like, when are you going to talk about us? Especially shadow priests. So hopefully we answered some questions anyway, about 5.4 anyway. All right. You can always, please go over to convertraid.com. That's where we have show downloads. We have tons of links for Raiders and so much more. It's all over at convertraid.com. Our show is available on Stitcher, the BlackBerry Podcast Directory, iTunes, all those kinds of places. And the Convert to Raid podcast is produced and distributed by Signals Media. Make sure to check out our friends, especially Torrent Think Tank. A very poignant thing about the devs getting, all this forum hate and all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of a meaty topic, and there's a lot going on. So they discussed it over at Torrent Think Tank, but please join all the different shows over at signalsmedia.com. That's going to be it for the show. Hope you guys had a good time, and thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on our next show next week at our regular time, Sunday, 11 a.m. Central. And for Derevka, for Dairies, and myself, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.